All right, this is part where we have questions. I'll kick it off. I know that brings back your thinking. But so, of course, everything costs money. So how do you fund what you're doing, your mission, your purpose, and getting this out and helping people to camp and everything else?
Well, our biggest fundraiser is the 5K that we had last month. And driving traffic to our website, we do have a donation page, but that's really the biggest fundraiser. Biggest way we raise money is through our 5K.
And that also helps to create awareness with the community by having the 5K. Many people, as I said earlier, didn't know what to say or what to do, but we do get a lot of support with the 5K, so we get participants, but also, sponsors and donors. But right now, that is one of the main areas so that we can have enough to support the camp as well, and that's a way for families to be able to come together and connect, as Stuart said. So right now, our biggest is the 5K, but we're definitely open for some input and some suggestions on how to make it even greater.
Hi, I love the information because I've been to bereavement groups, so it's helpful to actually have guidance versus the ones I've been to. It's always just like everyone telling their thing and everyone,
Yeah.
So I love that there's kind of I don't know what to say, a template, not a template, but a guidance to let's move you.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So I was curious. So what is this classes? Is it just the family get-togethers, or is it like Zoom sessions, or is it like? And I guess even with like a class, like 10 weeks and you're done, or I don't even know how that would be done. And I guess so. I'm sorry. I guess I was asking. So what is the process? Because like I said, I love that. Yeah, I would have loved more slides because I was intrigued.
Oh.
I love that there's a guide, and I love that you have, like I said, a path. So I was curious how you execute it.
Thank you so much for that question. And we too have gone to bereaved groups. And what we found in those groups is that people do get to share, what happened, how they lost their child, their spouse, their parent, and so forth. But when I would leave those groups, I felt even heavier when I would leave. Part of the relief was being able to share what happened to us, being able to share that part of the story, but also hearing everybody else's story was hard. So that was, even though we were kind of dividing others, it made it a little heavy as well. And so coming back each week, we saw people were still crying, people were still heavy, and not that you won't cry, so that's not the case. And so to answer your question succinctly, yes, we offer all of those things. And so we have what's called Jacoby's Journey Groups, and those are support groups right now for bereaved parents, grandparents, siblings. We've also opened it up to really anyone who have the loss of a person. So
no fur babies.
Right now it's not any fur babies, so people have kind of mentioned that. But grief is everywhere, and this can definitely impact any area, the loss of a job, and so forth. But right now we do have Jacoby's Journey Groups that meets once a month on the first Thursday of the month, and we have that in person as well as virtually. Fred stated earlier how we've been working in the state, but through the Zoom and Google Meets, the virtual resources we have now, we're able to reach people all over. Additionally, we have workshops, usually in August, a weekend in August, we'll have some bereavement workshops. We at the camp as well, so we try to find different ways to still reach the community. Right now, we're looking at more inclusion, where we've been having the bereaved come to us, in these small group type settings with the workshops and journey groups. But now we're looking at going more into businesses, kind of pushing into those people who support those others that have had a loss. Prior to this, I was an educator in one of the local school districts and an administrator. I've lost some students, I've lost some coworkers, and of course we have counselors, and they would bring in grief counselors, to help. But what I like to say, within our loss, it was like rubbernecking. So you have people that are slow down, you know, while the action's going, they're looking over to see what's happening, but then once they've passed the accident, once they've moved on, they go on about their business. But those who were impacted by that accident, they're still left there. And so we've been able to try to do things through other local businesses, small businesses and so forth, to go in and talk to the employers and employees. More recently, we've gone to Prisma Health and had a group with some of the doctors there of how they can talk to their patients. We had a great doctor. Actually, our youngest son is named after the doctor that helped us when we lost our son, Jacoby. And we know that that's not the norm. And so we want to be able to just spread the word more and push in through the journey groups, workshops, camps, and going into local businesses. I know that was probably a lot, but hopefully it answered.
Good morning. What an amazing story. And I remember when that accident happened. And a couple things. One of them, I know the brain is very, very unique and different. And I know that it takes a lot to for the brain part of it. I've also watched my sister grieve over the last 4 years. She lost her husband around the time COVID started. And I've lost things, but to watch my sister has been one of the toughest things that I think that I've watched, because they was together so long, 45 years. But I just think what you're doing amazing, and I certainly would like to partner with you in our business and how we get the message out, support. I'm looking for a non-profit, somebody that I can donate to, and I think this is what it is. Number one is because I love children so much. I work with a lot of children, and I just remember that story that happened. And I've also subbed for you one time at B&I at one point in time. I'm Chef J. Judy.
Oh, thank you.
But I'm with you, and I'm gonna get your information. Thank you for sharing your story.
All right, thank you.
Charcuterie? Yeah.
And this question this is a left brain question. Because it has to be a rational question, because I can't deal with the emotional side of the
So then that's
brain.
Stuart, he's the left brain, I'm the
Yeah,
right, logic relational.
In the community you serve, in the community that you serve, how does someone find out about you? You know, because it's not like you got billboards plastered, and it's all rational. It's no emotion. You got billboards plastered. Lost a loved one. Call all nines. How do you approach the market on such a sensitive issue, and what causes people to pick up the phone and call you? How do they find out about you?
Well, I would say that's one of the reasons why we're here, is for you guys to give us some ways to bring awareness. Like I said, I just gave you the last 25 years of brain science in 5 minutes. What we do is outstanding, and I don't mean that just cause I'm up here. It's the truth. One of the statistics that I found out and then put up here, like from a workplace standpoint, on the low end in the United States, every year on the low end, lost productivity costs anywhere from 75 billion, on the high end above 200 billion, between absenteeism, presenteeism, meaning the work is there but they're not being productive, injuries, accidents, mistakes, all that, turnover, that's all included. So it's a hidden problem, and we want to, and our journey is like most others in the sense that, oh, hey, you're trying to pull somebody out of grief. And it's like, you can't do it. So I have been just kind of putting the blinders on and just developing this thing. Now it's like, I need help. That's why I'm like, hey, it is sensitive, but if you care, you're gonna reach out, and we say, if you know someone who has shared tears over losing their child, a grandchild, or sibling, tell them about Jacoby Shield. That's kind of on our brochure. It's kind of like So we just want, right now, we just want to let everybody know, hey, we're here. It's uncomfortable, but if you're stuck like this, there's a myth. Time heals all wounds. That's a myth. It's what you do with that time. And if you don't get those two areas opened up, you're gonna be there. And it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna sit here because I'm helpless.
Right.
It's like, you don't wanna be here. We're on a journey. We didn't ask to be on this journey. But we're here and we wanna make the best of it. With others, shame is a distressing emotion. And if you're ashamed of what you're gonna be quiet. And the only way to make this journey harder is to stay in isolation. It's just, so how can you get behind Jacoby Shield to get the word out? So that's kind of, like I say, I'm with you, Tom, so.
And I guess, currently, our market has been more word of mouth. People who have known the story, who've known that we've created Jacoby Shield, over the last several years. As I stated earlier, I was an educator, so I try to go into certain schools as well, connected with guidance counselors, because usually they're the ones who call in the grief counselors when there's a loss, and the administrators. And so that has been an area that we've pushed into local businesses. Of course, we have a website. We're trying to increase our, SEO, to make sure when people are Googling, because what we did at our loss, we Googled grief of a loss of a child, support groups, and certain things came up. And so we found people through Joy in the Morning with Linda Gill has been a great resource, because we've been on her website as well. But otherwise, it's just been word of mouth. Those who are also on the journey of loss have passed it on to others. But we're looking at ways to be better with our marketing as well.
What's been your greatest challenge as a business?
As a business, I would say making sure that people know that we're here, the visibility of it. For me, it's been the hardest part. Like, we know we're here, but making sure other people know. So the visibility as well as the financials. Right now, Jacoby Shield is a volunteer organization. We do have a great board. I serve as the executive director. Stuart is the board chair, but right now we just don't have the funds to be able to pay for staff. So being able to have staff members, graphic designers, someone that can help manage our social media, and just help us with the vision, making it more visible and financial.
I'm gonna stick on Tom's side, because that's the only way I'm gonna make it through this.
Okay.
I'm right there with you, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Your website says, and this is gonna take me a second, because I got frogs on it. Child loss is beyond devastating, but healing is possible. I listened to you guys, maybe healing is possible, because a person in grief understands they lost somebody, whether it's a child, a family member, whatever. But the idea that healing is possible is a beautiful message, but it's buried, sort of. Like in your presentation, it didn't really come out until we got to the questions and answers. So start there by thinking about what I took notes,
Oh,
which I
thank you.
very seldom do, but
Oh, thank you. Star student in the back of the room.
what do you want to happen with this is you want people to understand that grief, first of all, grief isn't hidden by what you said.
Right, it's everywhere.
It is everywhere. As a business owner, and somebody loses a child or a spouse, I think they've gotten over it enough to come back to work. But from what you're saying, they're not okay. And if they're not okay, they can't do the work. So what in the messaging, Tom, to your point is, it's that, grief is everywhere. We don't know how to recognize it. Even on your website, you don't tell me as a family member how to recognize somebody else's grief.
Okay, great.
What grief looks like. When you start doing all of that, then it expands out into something a lot bigger. I love this. We lost Cameron during childhood.
Sorry.
And as two young parents, we didn't know we were spiraling. And there was nobody, or, you know, people at church were like, be strong.
Right. Yeah.
And we prayed for you, but
Deep breath.
if you never heard Mother wail,
Yes. Amen.
you don't understand.
Right.
And people look at the husband and say, be strong for her. Your website has to hit hard like that.
Gotcha.
Your marketing has to hit hard like that. Because if you don't, then we're just rubberneckers.
Right. Oh, thank you for that. Thank
Going
you.
back to what he's saying though, this is where in the business model, here again, it's all left brain, not right brain.
Yeah.
I can't go there, all right?
Yes.
Is in the business model, you have to differentiate yourself from that crowd of people out there that are making a living off of grief.
Yeah.
Making a living off of grief a long way. They're going through the papers, they're going through the obituaries,
True.
they're calling, they're offering, doing all sorts of stuff. You have to, if I'm in grief and I'm gonna go to somebody, I'm not gonna pick it up in an ad or on a website, all right?
No.
I'm gonna pick it up from him, that's gonna say, you
Right.
need to call these people, and it's that kind of way that to me differentiates what you're doing from the grief industry.
But even on, imagine if, and I'm not even gonna suggest, I know the funds are limited, but think about advertising in a different way. Is, you know, there's a breast cancer campaign from Susan G. Komen that was really successful back in 2000s, and it didn't talk to women, it talked to the men.
Right.
The fathers, the sons, the husbands, about getting their wives to get it, and it approached like, imagine if they're gone. And all of a sudden, husbands were going, you need to get a mammogram. Fathers were going, it's time for you to get a mammogram. It changed.
Got the conversation.
Yeah. You guys have to define what grief is. You have to own it, to Tom's point. And when you own not grief itself, but what it looks like, how it impacts people, how it impacts businesses, how it impacts communities and family, then people, to Tom's point, will sweep you right there. And I'm sorry for taking it up, but I
Oh, no,
see the-
we appreciate it.
I
Yeah, we
see the
definitely
solution.
appreciate that.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is definitely the feedback that we wanted and needed.
Yeah. I think you have to, the first response is not to be emotional, but you gotta be.
Right, and I think that's what we're learning. I think at the beginning of our journey, I was very emotional. You mentioned a mother wailing. Well, this was my firstborn son after we've had other losses.
Yeah.
And so it did hit differently, and I found through that there were some people that couldn't handle it. And so, yes, I started watering down the message a little bit. And even today, Stuart and I were talking as we were coming over here, like, this is our first time, with you all, and even Tom didn't know my story. So Fred was the only one that knew our story.
Yeah.
And so we come into a group of strangers, and we just, like, what is the best way to present, to you all? Something that was heavy. You said that you know the story too, so I didn't even want to say how it happened, but we knew we had to let you know that it was an accident, and not that Jacoby was sick. Like, this was,
Those are your, what's called bona fides.
okay,
That's what qualifies you to stand in front of this group and speak to us.
Okay.
Is the clarity and the sensitivity
mhm,
and what you've been through.
okay.
You're sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's no watered down.
So how do
Right,
I do
and
that?
so-
How do I do that without coming across as preying on you in your time of grief?
Yeah.
Right, that's what
Okay.
differentiates you from anybody else that's out there, right?
Gotcha.
Now,
Okay.
Tom, to your point, we call it ambulance chasing. We don't wanna be ambulance chasers.
And
And,
maybe we worked so hard not to do that, and
Right.
we're
But
missing the
in
message.
trying not to do that,
We're
you
missing,
become the Vulcan.
And you're missing.
and we're
Right,
missing
right.
it.
So-
I guess that was more my question, so, you know, you started me crying, I'm crying
Mhm.
now, I'm gonna be mad at him for the rest of the day.
Oh.
But
No,
Yeah,
have
I
you
know.
guys ever thought, cause even something, as tough as a miscarriage, even if a woman and her husband, or maybe her new partner, they go on to have more children, that miscarriage still sticks with them. Have you guys ever
Right.
thought to go through healthcare so that you're not really looking like ambulance chasers, but there's so many, sadly, you're an educator, school shootings, and,
Right.
and I can only imagine if I had a little brother or sister that was at Sandy Hook, or,
Mhm.
you know, just any miscarriage,
Right.
people in hospice care for breast cancer or any other cancer, like, there's so many things that it will still affect them 10, 20 years later.
Of course.
You know what I
of
mean?
course.
Like, you guys are necessary, but to get yourself out there, maybe have you thought of like teaming up with wellness groups, or teaming up with getting yourself somehow into a therapy network so they can say, no, these people are different than your regular bereavement group. They literally have a plan, they have a camp, they have a run, they have a this, they have a that. And not that I prey upon, you know, another school shooting or something like
Right,
that,
right.
but, you know, classmates who experienced that, because I
Yeah.
served with somebody who they weren't in that class and they didn't lose somebody, but they were a student at the time and they have brothers and
Still.
sisters, so that, you know, that's tough.
Right.
My sister and her best friend, both of them were involved in the shooting. Her best friend didn't make it, and her sister was mad at us siblings, like,
Yeah,
well,
those feelings.
y'all still got your sister, we don't.
Mhm.
Listen, I can't explain it. They were both there at the same time, and they both, you know, experienced the same thing, but her as a sibling, I watched her sister grow up, obviously. I've known this girl since she was 5 years old, both of them getting in trouble with my sister,
Right.
and then now she's 25 years old, and she's no longer here.
Yeah.
So I get it, you know, I've known your sister for 20 years, and you're upset that I have mine and you don't have yours. I can't say nothing to her.
Mhm.
Like, even in this day, this has been 5 years now, about 5 years, 6 years. I mean, I just ask how they're doing, and I keep it moving, because
And that's,
you
That's a
understand
general
me, so
response.
I can understand that, but maybe if I knew about you guys then, that's what I'm saying, like, team up with some sort of medical network.
and thank you, and that's, what we had tried. So there was a group at, Prisma, Prisma Richland that was meeting, and then after COVID, things changed. But we were able to go, the doctors that we spoke to were at Prisma, but yeah, we're looking, so thank you so much for those that think about the wellness, you know, avenues. We have gone to certain, counselors. There's a, post-trauma resources system here, and so actually, two of their counselors have supported Jacoby Shield as either facilitators or been a contact. But I can't say that we've actually gotten clients, you know, from there. So that's
Right.
another avenue to look at. That.
But just something, like I said, hospice care, it's not that you know they're gonna pass, but
Right, and
like
it's
you were
of any,
saying, you know, with cancer and breast cancer,
that's true.
if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. School shootings, no, I'm not, you know, an advocate, but in case
But we want to
it does,
we
I
want to
wish
be
it were-
visible, so like when those things happen, people know that Jacoby Shield
what
is
I'm
here,
trying
that
to
we
say,
are a
like,
resource.
You're
So,
not
Yeah.
searching through the obituaries and you're not pouncing on people, but people, it's best that they know you're there, God forbid, if such thing happens. Miscarriages, that's another thing along with cancer. It's gonna happen, and women are not gonna never be over that.
right,
Like, when you lose a child, that you had your child was born. Some women, like he said, childbirth, that's right.
yeah, ours is what's considered, you know, it's layered, because I
Right.
did have some losses prior to
Prior to that,
Jacoby.
right.
And so even our oldest daughter, one of the things that hurt her through this, even more was that, you know, why did God let us have Jacoby if he was just gonna take him away? You know, the other babies we didn't get to hold, you know, and so that was a big impact. And we've learned that siblings are the forgotten mourners, you know. As you were sharing, you know, they told you, be strong for your wife, you know, where they told our oldest daughter, oh, be strong for your parents, be strong for your mom. And that told us, she was like, what does that look like? You know, we've never been here before. You know, we didn't know what it was like for us to do. And that kind of put her in a depression. So that was another layer, you know, that happened. So, and, you know, we do appreciate the questions and the feedback because this is actually what we were looking for. This is an emotional topic, and this is an emotional week for us. As Stuart said, last month we had the 5K, and that was right before Jacoby's birthday. And I do that so I'm planning something like a birthday party for him, not on his birthday, but close to it. This Friday would be the 10th angelversary. We call it angelversary. It would be his 10th angelversary this Friday. So even being here today speaking is bringing on certain emotions, but we do appreciate the questions and the feedback because we want to be better. We want to learn how to grow and make this nonprofit more of a business as well.
It's 10 o'clock, but can we go just
I was thinking the same thing.
one,
I mean,
two,
we have till 10:30, right?
yeah.
The room is till 10:30?
I just wanted to say something
Yeah.
super quick.
Oh, here.
So for me, on the outside looking in, like my generation, let me start this up. First of all, what you presented to me, I almost cried. It was light, it was straight to this is for me. It was straight to the point and it didn't go deep to where I didn't get the message.
Okay.
And then second of all, my second point is because you guys want to get out more, I would just, to be honest, people are on social media. They always have their phone. That's just the market that we're in. We're in the digital age marketing. Now, some people, like our generation, is different. They may receive it differently because the way you guys were, like the way your generation was brought up. My generation is brought up way differently.
True.
You know, a lot of people don't like face to face. They want to see it right here on their phone because they don't know how to express it. So I would just say marketing on social media, and because you guys don't have a lot of funds to advertise, I would hire like Fiverr. Is something called Fiverr.
Yeah, we just
They're great, you know, for your graphic and like so on and so forth. And it's affordable. So I feel like just keep spreading the message and keep spreading the word because what's ordained and what's meant shall be.
Amen.
And that's just what it is. Whoever's supposed to be there will be there.
Amen. That's it. That's the word. Thank you.
Oh.
And Fiverr, we're just learning about Fiverr.
Yeah,
Most
Fiverr's
of-
good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Try to keep your questions short, guys, when we get out of here, okay? This is a good topic. We got like 5 people in line already.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, how does the signs of grief change? Say someone dies of old age versus cancer, maybe say, I don't know, versus a school shooting or something. How does the signs of grief change? Does it change?
It doesn't change. It can be more complicated. Now, someone's told me this has an illustration. The difference between how one person dies versus another in your relationship with them is like falling down. It's how far you fall, what you hit while you're falling, and what you land on. Does that make sense? If I fall off a ladder, if I fall off of here, guess what? I'm not hurt that bad. I fall off a roof and I hit something. You see, it's just the more that you go through, the more complicated that it gets. But to the receiver, we're still like this. Everybody is still like this, where all the emotion is so overwhelming that you're only using the bottom part of your brain. So that's the same for everybody. Now, the same for everybody, you gotta get that emotion to open up. Does that make sense? it can be more complicated, like in our situation, you know, 4 of us walked into a park and 3 of us walked out. We didn't know it was gonna happen, you know. Some people with the illness or whatever, it's kinda like, well, you see it coming or whatever, but that you still end up in the same spot. That, you know, does that, so you should.
You're still gonna go through the, you know, we talked about the stages of death and dying, so the person will still, those that are left, will still go through the processes, but it will look differently. When you know someone is mentioned, like if they're in hospice and they're given X amount of days, months, or whatever, people say you start preparing, you just start going through the process earlier. You know, when you lose an older parent through old age, it's more of a natural process. So you accept that earlier. You accept it, because, my mom lived 100, she was 100. So you kind of go through the stages earlier and maybe a little bit quicker, but at some point you still revisit them. You know, for us, I mean, we had no clue. He wasn't sick, and that's the message I wanted to convey, because most people think, he was sick, he probably had cancer, you know. But we went through it, I mean, all the things, the bargaining, the why is this happening, it can't be, okay, God, please let him, you know. So we went through that like within an hour. You know, we went through all the stages right then. Someone else who had someone with, so those are something that you know, you go through it because you're in shock. So all these things happen. So people going through grief, you're still going to go through, you know, the levels, you're still going to go through the stages. Sometimes you're going quick, sometimes it's a little slower, and it's not in a specific order. You know, it's not, as Stuart said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You might do the 1, 2, 5. And it looks more like a labyrinth. It doesn't look like that straight path. So when you're going through a maze and you're trying to find your way out, you don't know which way to turn. And that happens to everyone, but just it looks differently at different times. And maybe we can clear that up more on our website too, of what it looks like.
Here again, another left brain
So glad
source
you're here.
question. All right, you got the 5 stages of grief, and I agree with that. I think that's very well done. My first question would be, have you copyrighted that? All right, you created, have you copyrighted it? All right, but that's not the question. Point is,
But that's a great point.
I think there is a stage of communication you go through. All right, and this goes back to my years in manufacturing. Nobody ever goes to the HR department to tell them what a good job they're doing. There's only very few reasons you go to the HR department, all right? And it goes back to the saying, you don't mess with a man's paycheck, his shotgun, or his wife, in that order, okay? Normally it's a pay issue. Or no, it's some kind of grief. I'm going in there because I'm upset, I'm pissed off about something, and I want somebody to holler at it, all right? So HR fits in this combination somewhere, because there is a tremendous amount of corporate effort right now going on in the area of mental health of my employees, of my workforce, okay? And this is a onset thing. It's not out there all the time until it actually happens to you, right? So when the phone rings, who are the next 5 people that get called, and where are you in that communication path? All right, so my phone rings, call comes in, somebody has passed. I mean, oh my God, I put, you know, I give you an initial stage, all right? I gotta tell somebody, all right, so I'm gonna call my wife, or I'm gonna call my mom, or I'm gonna call my minister, okay? All right, so here, okay, touch point number 1, ministerial association. They need to know that you guys exist, okay? Second one up is, I'm gonna call my employer to let them know that I've had this whatever happened, all right? Because, you know, they'll talk with, they need to know, because somebody's gonna call the HR department and say, I just lost so-and-so and I have no idea what to do.
Right.
They need to be able to open the drawer and give them your hotline number and say, you need to call these people right now, right? That's how, to me, that's the left brain side. That's how you build this business, not sitting out there waiting for somebody to find you haphazardly.
Gotcha.
Okay, Tom, can I,
That's good.
and I'm just gonna do this real quick. What Tom is talking about, I'm gonna take it a little farther. You need a packet. Not just, because grief the way you explain grief is more than a phone number or a website. You guys have given us in an hour and a few minutes a lot of information. But as an HR person, I don't know if I'm even dealing with grief. So I need a packet that informs and educates me as an HR person, as a minister, or a counselor at church, or a chaplain at the hospital, to recognize the signs of grief and then direct them to the professionals that gave me the information. See, so you almost need a packet, because school counselors and my niece is a teacher in District 2. She loves her children. If you were to give her that, she would read it, because sooner or later one of her children may need it.
Right.
But there's no packet off the website.
Correct.
I get the social media, but, and I don't disagree with that, but what I'm saying is, to establish your expertise, you have to give away some information.
Okay.
And you gave it away here, freely. Put together a packet, whether it's something I download, a PDF I download, but then as a school administrator, think about it, I can give it to all my teachers. So here's the stopgap. We can't fix a child. We can't help a child through grief. We can help them through grief, sort of. But now we can help them through grief, and we can refer them to a group of people who aren't preying on them.
Good point.
So and I think that was important. To me, that's where you build your business.
Okay.
We've got 2 major insurance companies in town. Both of them really good community presence. Why wouldn't, what's the one over there? I'm blank by Dutch Square. Colonial Life. Why wouldn't Colonial Life be passing this out to their agents? You know, because they deal with, you know, sadly, they deal with the insurance policies. Why wouldn't Blue Cross Blue Shield?
I was gonna say that,
Right.
life insurance agent.
That's what I
We
said.
deal with
Which-
this all the time.
Which is great, because they've supported Jacoby Shield with the 5K, so we can definitely go back now with this, because they are aware of us, but yes, so thank you.
I guess-
Now for a team up.
I guess to kind of piggyback on that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I guess to piggyback on that, real quick, what he said, when I look at Colonial Life and I look at, Blue Cross, it's always been for them to give me money. That's been my mindset, like they supported our 5K, so I contact them, like, hey, give me, so
Now
thank
what can
you
we give
for-
to them? Yeah.
for bringing that the other way around.
They give you a lot more than they.
Or being in their network.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Or what I
Being in
didn't
their
hear.
network, if you
Oh.
be in their network, that your name pops up as a provider.
Yeah.
So then that way, do you know their reach
Ah, that's
is bigger?
good,
Right,
good.
their reach is bigger than
Good.
Mhm.
Right.
us in this room's reach.
Yeah.
So if your name pops up in their network, I'm big on insurance. And I'm big on wellness and therapy and those types of things. Like I said, I would have loved to call
Yeah.
someone and y'all's name popped up when my sister and her 2 friends are celebrating someone's birthday and there's a shooting.
Yeah.
And I have another sister saying to me, well, y'all got your sister. It would have been
Something like
helpful to
this,
me and
no.
all of our siblings, and it would have been helpful to her family. So
Right,
that
in
they
those
wouldn't
early
feel a type
days.
of way.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's-
2 more.
I'm big on insurance.
Good, thanks
Just
Try
for
to team up with.
Just to build off that,
Mhm.
speaking as a graphic designer, I don't know what you do. Your purpose is education. Build grief education or something like that into your logo, into your branding.
You need a tagline.
A tagline, yes, a tagline, a motto statement, something. I look at this and I don't know what you are,
Gotcha.
so,
Children's book.
yeah.
Mhm.
And.
So it's not
build
clear the
off
message.
Build off the point that you're education. That sets you apart from the ambulance chasers.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
So, going back to the ambulance chaser thing, I think y'all should reach out to fire departments in the US. As a former volunteer firefighter, I've seen a lot of stuff. We love y'all. It would be great for y'all to partner with the City of Columbia Fire Department, or Lexington Fire Department, or even a small volunteer fire department. And kind of just spread your message out there. What we really don't like
Thank you.
Lucky for you, I got a meeting with the assistant chief of the fire department tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful.
One other element that goes back here again, all left brain, is by using, you know, let me back up. Within a mile of here, there's probably 100,000 people that have the same insurance program. All right, they've all got Blue State employees, they all got Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield has the state subscribes to it, a mental health subscription. You know, you got people you can call. The question would be, how do you get your name on that list?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's, I'm gonna call the HR department, you're aware my wife died yesterday, blah, 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 I don't know how to deal with it, I need somebody to talk to, all right? That's the trigger point. But it's also trigger in the business model itself, because at that point, you get into third-party billing, okay? Now, if you can get an employer to pay for the first 3 hours of this counseling, they'll all do it, because they already offered in their package.
It's already there,
Right?
yeah.
So you're not
That makes sense.
injecting yourself into somebody's pocketbook that just lost, you're not making money off their grief.
Yeah.
You're making money providing a service to someone's employees, and you're being paid by that employer to do that, and that's a whole lot milder approach to the marketplace.
Oh, I
And
like
have
that.
testimonials.
Mhm.
That story hits people.
Yeah.
Don't come at this soft. Yeah.
And I was
Don't be
second
so.
that by saying, even after the employer pays for the 3 hours, most insurance policies have enough left after burial to pay for additional
Right.
help. So after those 3 hours, they're not done, they still
Right,
need you.
it's,
But it's all left brain.
but do we need
Separate
that?
from the
We need
emotion.
it. Yeah, thank you.
This is extremely left brain, but have you thought about reaching out to the funeral directors?
Yes, we have. Would you like to?
Yeah, I mean, we have, it was, we have.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
so,
What do you give them? Going back to having that's that.
right, so we just have right now, great to know you're a graphic designer. But we have a brochure that needs some help. And so, that's kind of what we would usually give is a brochure so they could put, into the, bereavement packet that they give to the families. We've had some conversations with some funeral home directors, here in the area, but
Well, have you
we're
guys-
not on the list for them that they necessarily call us. There's one that does send people our way,
Yeah. You need more than one piece, but are you a 501c3?
but we are.
Okay, now this changes.
Mhm.
You should never pay for advertising.
Right.
What?
Yeah, it's free through radio station.
Yeah, it's free. I'm sitting here listening to y'all going,
It's free.
I can get you on TV for free.
Yeah, radio is free.
Yeah,
Okay.
because, yes, as long as you're a 501c3,
Yes, and we are.
then you get pro bono work.
So that's good that you're here networking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we didn't, yeah.
Cause
So-
I tried to.
But we have been on TV and radio
Well,
before, but that's been a
But
couple
here's
years.
the other thing is, ad agencies will create the work for you for free.
What?
As a write-off.
Yeah, so if you.
This we did not know.
No, yeah, so all of this, I'm staying
Is this
left
still-
brain Tom for a bit.
Okay, I
Thank
said,
you.
is this still recording? 'Cause I
Tom brought me
didn't-
left brain. So you can get these services for free. We'll talk about that after the meeting, but I needed the room to understand this because there may be more
Oh, there's
501c3s in the room. But also the University of South Carolina School of Journalism every October has an event where they take 13 or 14 nonprofits, lock their kids in the School of Journalism for 24 hours, and they work on a specific project for each nonprofit.
Oh, I think somebody did mention that a while back.
And I coached
Wow.
it 6 or 7 years. I forgot, I'm old and tired, and staying up 24 hours takes a toll. So it's called the Create-a-thon. I'll
Okay,
get with you afterwards, but I want to put it to the room,
thank you.
because I know you're working with the nonprofit. They have a lot of the logos you see in town, the Eau Claire Collective
Mhm.
is USC work. I'm not a big fan of using interns for free. I'm a big fan of you guys going to some of these ad agencies and getting work for free.
Mhm.
Because what they'll do is they use that to win awards, and win awards gets them paying customers.
Gotcha.
clients. So, we'll talk afterwards, but I also want the room to be aware of it, because I didn't know if there were any more nonprofits in here.
Mhm.
But if you're a nonprofit and you're certified as a nonprofit, you shouldn't pay for advertising.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, so that's
I
why I
that.
was like, and I apologize, my brain was thinking you knew this. Cause that's one of the big benefits of being a nonprofit.
Yeah, we know some of the benefits, but we did not know that.
I
so.
tried to contact iHeartMedia and I ain't getting no response, you know, it's one of
I
them.
know a
Well,
lady
So,
who works there.
so,
But you got
Oh,
radio,
even
radio
better.
man here.
Yeah, you get, free advertising on radio, on all stations. They have
Yeah.
a certain
The
amount
FCC.
of time they have, yeah, FCC, so, yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
no.
man, this is a lot.
I
Yeah,
know,
no,
One more thing.
Go ahead, Tom.
One more thing, and you hit it just right. This coming Monday, you're in the class, right?
right.
All right, we have the intellectual property lawyer
Oh, that
speaking.
Doug.
Okay.
Lineberry.
He's who you need to talk about, because you shouldn't be showing this to anybody without a trademark on it. Okay,
Okay.
this is what value beyond your organization. This brochure needs to have a copyright on it.
Yes.
The brochure needs to have some kind of contact information, that on the bottom of every page, it says copyright, Jacoby Shield 2024, all right?
Mhm.
And you can put that on anything you own, because you created it, and the title goes to you at the point of creation. Get it protected.
Yes.
Gotcha.
If it's valuable, get it protected.
Good.
And
Thank
you
you.
can put that circle R or the circle C before you apply for it, because what it does is it shows that you had ownership with the intent of getting it registered.
Getting it.
First to file.
Yeah, first to file is always the point, so
Okay.
even before you can finish the process, put it on there.
There's a level
Okay.
of protection.
Yeah.
Just by putting it
Okay, good, thank you.
I think,
Thank you for having us today.
we've heard this
Yeah.
too, is the different marketing pieces and the different packets,
Mhm.
because I was always assuming that you guys only help people who lost children. But
Mhm.
now after hearing today, it's a lot deeper than that.
Yes.
So I think, those different pieces are gonna be important. I wouldn't lose this,
No.
but you need
Right.
some different pieces as
But
well.
still keep his image.
Mhm.
He's the cutest.
Thank you. Yeah.
He's the cutest, so don't lose his image, but even like this logo, I'm assuming you guys do like a children's book or a
So-
comic book, cause it looks more comic.
And it was because part of he was big in the comics and the Avengers, so
Right.
that's part of it. So that one wasn't done by Sanford Green.
But
Was that
it's
one?
actually-
That one was done by Sanford Green, who is the so now Jacoby would be 13. So I don't know,
Right.
like what we need to. That's another
And
thing.
if it makes you feel any better, you can do digital imaging that, ages him.
Age progression,
Ages him to
yeah.
what he would be in current,
Good, do
what
not
he would,
toss away stamp.
what he would currently look like
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
Because that picture, those
No.
pictures with him holding the little shield, cutest.
Mhm.
Don't
Yeah.
use that as part of your logo.
The value of Sanford's work is amazing right now.
Mhm.
Anything he draws for you, keep.
Well, yeah, even on the last slide with Jacoby doing the thumbs up on the Avengers,
Yeah.
he wrote for Jacoby, in his signature, so we know the value. I mean,
Yes,
even
ma'am.
back
Yeah.
then, just how he was able to, yeah,
He's one of the hottest comic book artists in the world
Yeah.
right now.
yeah.
He's vocal.
Yeah.
Get
And
access
he's
to
here,
him.
yes.
One more time, we got about 2 minutes left, I think, right?
Yeah.
Close.
We never even technically.
Oh, before we-
Question.
Before we, 2 things before I just, the question, then the last question. If you're here for the very first time, please raise your hand. All right, and you are? Thank you for being here. And if you're an entrepreneur, raise your hand.
Everybody.
Everybody, all right. Okay, so make sure you come back again, invite people. I can't off the top of my head think who's coming next week, but please go to our Facebook page and we'll definitely post it out there. We have people sign up for the next 3 weeks actually. And then Xavier's coming back to present our other business in the future. So she has another business as well, so we're bringing her back. But
I
we'll get
am.
your question, and then we'll get the last question, and then let me get a picture of you guys in front of the our stand-up out there.
Oh, yes.
Before everybody mobs you, okay?
Okay, oh,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
grief knows no age.
Hmm.
Education for all ages.
Bam, that's it.
Work that down.
It's
Recording.
it's recording.
Recording.
We got- That's why I was like, I wasn't taking notes, but I think it's still recording, yeah.
All right,
I
so our
love it.
last question. What can 1 million cups do for you?
Oh, the question. You had the answer for the question, right?
Well, part of it was just helping us spread the word. And I think what has been said right today, I mean, that's been, you know, amazing.
Most
I'm
helpful.
glad it's recorded because it was just.
Yeah.
So part of it's like, y'all know people that we don't know. Part of the fear of the ambulance chase is, hey, Tom goes, hey, here's Stuart, here's Xavier. That's part of it, your network, and you know.
Yeah, people who can serve on our board of directors, you know, we're always looking for lawyers, we're looking for people who are great with PR, accountants, marketing, just someone that can serve on that board, because right now it's Stuart and I, and because we're so closely involved, you know, with this, sometimes it is harder for us to think outside of the box. So being able to have people like you on our board that we're meeting with regularly that can kind of help us think outside of the box as well. So board director, board members, getting the word out, tips on the graphic design, the PR, like the things that we need help with. You've already kind of opened up the conversation today, and we just want to keep it going.